The first time Liora opened her eyes, the world was nothing like she remembered. Harsh fluorescent lights hummed above her, their sterile glare cutting through the darkness of her days. Machines beeped softly, counting heartbeats, breaths, and most importantly, potential. She lay strapped to a cold steel table, her limbs heavy, her mind foggy. Around her, shadows moved with quiet purpose, figures in uniform, precise and unwavering. They were Earth's finest, the silent architects of a war that had yet to be declared. Liora didn't yet know it, but she had been chosen for a purpose that would change the fate of humanity. She remembered fragments, training, drills, tests, but those memories felt like distant echoes. The scientists and commanders, with eyes sharp and cold, looked at her as if she were a weapon first, a human second. "Good. You're awake," said Commander Darren Voss, his voice both stern and oddly reassuring. He leaned against the console, arms crossed, observing her. There was no warmth in his tone, but there was respect, reserved, careful, earned through trials that Liora didn't yet fully understand. I remember. Nothing," she murmured, her voice small but steady. "That's normal," another voice said, a soft, almost musical one. Sergeant Ellen Mira stepped forward. She had trained Liora for months in simulated combat, psychological endurance, and alien tactics. "Your memory will return. Focus now. Your mind is your greatest weapon." And indeed, Liora's mind was remarkable. From her earliest days, she had shown instinctive precision, her reflexes sharper than most soldiers, her ability to predict enemy movements uncanny. But the real reason the military had chosen her was not just skill. It was humanity itself. Where technology failed, where alien logic faltered, humans persevered. Humans felt fear, yes, but they transformed it into determination. Humans understood sacrifice. The first lesson came swiftly. Liora was placed in a virtual simulation, a city under siege, buildings crumbling, alien invaders swarming like dark clouds. Her fingers flew over controls, her body reacting instinctively. Yet the aliens in the simulation weren't just mindless invaders. They adapted. They learned. Each decision she made tested her beyond reflexes. It tested her empathy, her judgment, her morality. Could she save civilians while defending the strategic point? Could she win without becoming the monster the invaders expected her to be? Hours passed, or was it days? Time seemed irrelevant. When the simulation ended, she collapsed to the floor, exhausted but exhilarated. "Why me?" she whispered to herself, wiping sweat from her brow. "Why choose a human for this war?" Ellen crouched beside her. "Because aliens cannot understand what it means to fight for home, for family, for something worth dying for. That's why humans survive." Even as she spoke, alarms blared. Liora didn't hesitate. Training kicked in before thought. She ran toward the source, her muscles burning, heart pounding, mind calculating trajectories, distances, probabilities. When she arrived, the threat was real. An automated security breach in the facility. Rogue drones had infiltrated the perimeter. Every instinct she had honed over months surged to the forefront. She moved with elegance and ferocity, neutralizing the threat before it could escalate. Commander Voss watched from the observation window, his usually impassive face breaking into the faintest smile. "That's why you're human," he said softly to Ellen, almost to himself, "and that's why they'll never see us coming." For the first time, Liora felt the weight of her destiny. She was more than a soldier. She was a symbol. Every movement, every decision carried the hope of a species that had been underestimated by the universe for too long. In her, Earth had forged a weapon that no alien intellect could predict. A weapon born of heart, courage, and relentless human will. As she returned to her quarters, exhaustion threatened to pull her under, but a spark of determination burned brighter. Somewhere beyond the stars they were coming, and when they arrived, they would find that humanity was ready. Not because of weapons alone, but because of the humans wielding them. Humans who understood the true meaning of survival, of sacrifice, and of victory. Liora lay down, her eyes tracing the ceiling, thinking of what lay ahead. She had been trained for war, shaped for combat, and sharpened for victory. But more than that, she had been reminded of something far greater. The spirit that burned inside her and every human was something no alien could ever replicate, no technology could ever simulate, and no force could ever extinguish. The war had not yet begun. But humanity's champion had awakened. The night sky above Earth was calm, deceptively so. Cities glimmered like clusters of fireflies, oblivious to the storm approaching from the void. In orbit, satellites twinkled silently, scanning for anomalies. And on the ground, Liora trained, always preparing. Yet even she could feel the shift in the air, a subtle tension that no simulation had ever replicated. It began with the sky itself. A streak of green fire arced across the horizon, followed by an unnatural hush. It wasn't meteorological. It wasn't human. It was the herald of something alien, something calculated. Commander Voss called the briefing. The room buzzed with tension, though none dared show fear. Humans had faced wars before, but never like this. Never against beings whose technology defied imagination. Liora stood at attention, her mind already dissecting possibilities. "They're fast," Voss said, voice steady. "They're efficient. But they underestimate us always." Sergeant Ellen Mira stepped forward. "We know their patterns from intel. They adapt quickly, but they don't understand humans. They can't predict our resilience, our unpredictability. That's our advantage." Liora listened, absorbing every word. She felt a thrill she had never experienced during simulations. This was real. The first encounter was not a drill. It was the beginning of a war that would define humanity. Hours later, the invasion began. The aliens descended silently, their ships like obsidian shadows falling from the sky. Ground units scrambled. Cities went into lockdown. And Liora ran straight into the fray. She moved with precision, dodging laser blasts and navigating collapsed buildings. Civilians huddled in fear, and she guided them to safety without hesitation. Each decision was instantaneous, yet deliberate. She calculated angles, distances, and probabilities while remembering what made humans strong: courage, empathy, and relentless determination. In the chaos, she faced her first alien soldier. Its limbs were long, metallic, and almost insect-like, but its eyes, cold, calculating, and devoid of humanity, gave it away. Liora hesitated only for a fraction of a second, and that was enough. The creature lunged, her training took over. She moved with the grace of a dancer and the precision of a soldier. A single strike, a calculated maneuver, and the alien fell. Yet even in victory, she felt something stir inside her, a mixture of awe and defiance. This was no ordinary foe, but she was human, and humans were never ordinary. As the battle raged on, Liora coordinated with other units, her voice calm, yet commanding over the comms. "Sector Delta, cover the east corridor. Civilians are moving north. Watch your angles, don't get trapped." Her presence inspired those around her. Soldiers who had doubted their chances found new courage. Civilians who had frozen in terror followed her lead. She wasn't just fighting, they were fighting alongside her. Humanity was proving itself in real time, and Liora was its spearhead. Yet victory came at a cost. Buildings lay in ruins. Fires consumed what had once been homes. And somewhere inside, Liora felt a pang of doubt. Could humanity endure this? Could they survive an enemy that seemed to anticipate every move? Ellen appeared at her side, sensing her unease. "You feel it, don't you?" she asked quietly. "The weight of it all." "I do," Liora admitted. "But we have something they don't. We have each other. We fight for something greater than strategy or survival. We fight for hope, for life, for home." Ellen nodded. "Exactly, and that will always give us the edge." By the end of the day, the alien forces had retreated. Temporarily. They had underestimated the human spirit, thinking efficiency and technology were enough. But they had forgotten one immutable truth. Humans were unpredictable. Humans adapted. Humans endured. And in Liora, Earth had created a weapon that embodied every strength of the species. That night, as she walked among the ruins, the wind carrying the smell of smoke and ash, she thought of what lay ahead. This was only the beginning. The real war was coming. The aliens would return, stronger, faster, more determined. And when they did, they would meet Liora again. She clenched her fists. She did not fear the future. She had been forged for this moment. Every trial, every sleepless night, every drop of sweat and pain, it had led her here. And when the aliens came again, they would learn the hardest lesson of all. Humans fight not because they have to, but because they will not allow anything to take what they love. Above her the stars gleamed. Somewhere beyond them her enemies were plotting. But on Earth a human had awakened. And in that awakening the universe had discovered a truth it could never calculate, never predict, never overcome. The indomitable, unyielding spirit of humanity. The dawn came like a fragile promise. The air smelled of burnt metal and scorched earth, reminders of yesterday's skirmish. Liora walked among the rubble, her boots crunching over shattered glass and twisted steel. Each step grounded her, reminded her that humanity's war was just beginning, and that she was at the center of it. Commander Voss called an emergency strategy session. In the high-tech command center, holographic maps floated mid-air showing alien movements across the globe. Their incursions were precise, almost surgical. Cities were left intact if not strategically valuable. But key military hubs were attacked relentlessly. The aliens were learning, adapting. But so was Liora. "You're tired," Voss said, observing her from across the table. "And yet you're the sharpest mind in this room." "I've slept little," Liora admitted. "But sleep won't win this war. Strategy will. And humans have strategy built into our hearts." Ellen Mira placed a hand on Liora's shoulder. "And that's why they can't predict you. Strategy isn't just numbers and algorithms. It's instinct, emotion, understanding. Things no machine or alien mind can calculate." The first plan was simple yet daring. Strike the alien command ship orbiting Earth before it deployed reinforcements. Intelligence suggested it was shielded, nearly impervious. Conventional attack would fail. Liora's mind raced through possibilities. She imagined every angle, every weakness, every risk, and then she spoke. "We don't attack them head-on," she said. "We make them reveal themselves. We create a trap using what they think they can't predict. Human error. We'll simulate weakness, draw them in, and then—" She paused, scanning the room. "We strike where they least expect it. Their technology is formidable, yes, but it can't match human ingenuity." Voss nodded slowly, impressed. "Risky, brilliant, dangerous, you understand the stakes." "I do," Liora replied. "And so do they. That's why we have to be faster, smarter, and relentless." Preparation took days, or perhaps hours. Time had lost meaning in the whirlwind of strategy. Liora oversaw every detail: drone placements, civilian evacuation routes, weapon calibrations. Every plan, every contingency bore her imprint. Humans were imperfect, but that imperfection made them unpredictable. And unpredictability was the weapon aliens feared most. When the operation began, Earth's forces moved like a living organism. Liora guided them, not as a commander from afar, but at the center of the storm. Drones swooped, aircraft circled, and human ingenuity outmaneuvered alien calculations at every turn. The alien ship reacted, releasing waves of energy to detect intruders. Liora anticipated it, maneuvering her team with split-second precision. They feigned vulnerability, drawing the alien forces into the kill zone. Then, at the perfect moment, the trap snapped. Explosions lit the sky. The alien ship shuddered as coordinated strikes hit weak points Liora had identified. Enemy reinforcements faltered. And through it all, humans pressed forward, not with the cold calculation of machines, but with courage, intuition, and an unyielding desire to survive. After the battle, silence settled. The alien ship was crippled, retreating into space. Earth's casualties were heavy, but the victory was undeniable. Humans had struck not only with weapons, but with something no alien could ever possess: spirit. Later, in the quiet aftermath, Liora sat alone atop a ruined building, looking at the stars. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fatigue, but from the weight of responsibility. Each life lost, each destruction witnessed etched itself into her soul. She had been trained for war, yes, but training did not prepare her for the emotional toll of leadership. Ellen joined her silently, sitting beside her without a word. For a long moment they simply watched the sky. Then Ellen said, "Do you feel it too? That even in victory there's a storm coming?" Liora nodded. "I do. We've won this battle, but the war is only beginning. They will come again, stronger, smarter. And next time they won't make the mistakes we've seen. We have to be ready, not just with weapons, but with heart." Her heart ached, yet it burned brighter. Humanity had survived this first test, not because of advanced technology, but because humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and driven by more than mere logic. They fought for family, for home, for each other. And in Liora, Earth had forged the perfect embodiment of that human spirit. The stars twinkled above, serene yet mocking, a reminder of the vast universe awaiting them. Liora clenched her fists, determination burning in her chest. The aliens had tested humanity and failed. But this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there in the cold silence of space, they were watching, learning, adapting. And when they returned, Liora vowed that humanity would not only survive, they would dominate. Not through fear, not through technology alone, but through the unbreakable force that defined every human heart: courage, resilience, and the will to fight against all odds. As the night deepened, Liora whispered to herself a promise and a warning in one breath. We are human, and we never surrender. The alien forces had retreated, but victory left no comfort. Liora stood on the observation deck of the orbital command station, gazing at Earth below. Cities glimmered alive, unaware of the war raging beyond the stars. She could see the scars, the shattered buildings, the blackened fields, but also the resilience, lights that still burned, communities that had refused to surrender. Humanity endured. Are you ready for this? Ellen asked quietly, joining her. Her expression carried both concern and admiration. Liora didn't answer immediately. She was already calculating, already planning. They're regrouping, she said finally, and we can't wait for them to come to us again. We have to take the fight to them, to their territory, to show them that humans are not merely defenders, we are hunters. Commander Voss entered, his uniform immaculate even in the chaos. The proposal is bold, he said. High risk, high reward, and if we fail. He didn't finish the sentence. None of them needed him to. Failure wasn't an option. Liora turned, her eyes steady. Then we don't fail. We move with precision, with heart, and with every ounce of human ingenuity we possess. That's why we were chosen. That's why we endure. Preparation was meticulous. Every pilot, every soldier, every technician knew that the mission would take them into the unknown. Liora led the tactical briefings not as a commander giving orders but as a guide, explaining the reasoning behind each maneuver. Humans could improvise, adapt, and feel in ways the aliens could not. And that, more than firepower, was their secret weapon. The journey into the void was silent and tense. The stars stretched endlessly, a canvas of cold indifference. Yet Liora felt something deeper, connection. Every human aboard, every unit she had trained carried within them a spark that no alien could ever understand. They carried hope, determination, humanity itself. Their target was a forward alien base, hidden on a barren moon far from Earth. Intelligence suggested it was a command hub, critical for coordinating reinforcements. Destroy it and humanity would gain a chance to regroup, to prepare defenses, to strike harder next time. When they arrived, the base loomed like a shadow against the gray landscape. Alien patrols moved with precision, their senses sharp. Yet even as they scanned for threats, they could not anticipate what was coming. Liora's team struck with a combination of stealth, ingenuity, and audacity. Explosions lit the horizon. Alien soldiers faltered. Liora moved through the chaos like water flowing through jagged rocks, guiding humans with calm precision. Civilians were absent here, but the stakes were higher. Every misstep could cost lives. Every hesitation could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. In the heart of the alien base, Liora faced her first true moral dilemma. The command hub housed systems that could target Earth cities with lethal efficiency. But there were also life support modules, sustaining alien workers who had no choice in the war. Liora hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. Could she destroy the hub without condemning innocents? Ellen's voice cut through her thoughts. They are not us, but we can choose how we fight. That is what makes us human. Leora's eyes hardened. Then we fight smart. She devised a strike that isolated the command systems without harming alien life unnecessarily. It required precision beyond normal human capability, but she thrived under pressure. The plan worked. The hub fell silent. Alien reinforcements faltered. Humanity had won again, not just through strength but through judgment. As they retreated back to orbit, Liora allowed herself a moment of reflection. The weight of command pressed on her, heavier than any physical burden. She had been trained for war, but leadership demanded more than strength. It demanded empathy, courage, and unshakable resolve. Do you ever wonder, Ellen asked softly, if they will learn from this? If they will change their tactics? Liora shook her head. Maybe, but we evolve too. Every battle teaches us something. Every sacrifice shapes us. And humans, we adapt faster than anyone else in the universe. That night, as Earth rotated beneath them, the stars bore witness to the quiet determination of a species unwilling to yield. Liora looked out at the endless void and whispered to herself, "We are human, and they will never break us." In that moment she felt something stir, not fear, not anger, but a profound certainty. The aliens had tested humanity and found us fierce. But they had not yet seen our full strength. They had not yet met the relentless spirit of humans who fought not just for survival, but for purpose, for home, and for each other. The war was far from over. The challenges ahead would be greater, the sacrifices heavier, the losses deeper. Yet in Leora's heart burned a certainty that no alien could ever extinguish. Humanity would not only endure, they would rise, unstoppable and unyielding. And when the next battle came, Liora knew they would be ready. The silence after victory was deceptive. For days, Earth's people held their breath, hoping the alien forces had been sufficiently weakened. But Liora knew better. The universe did not forgive mistakes, and their enemies were patient, calculating, and relentless. It began with the faint hum beneath the city, a vibration too regular, too precise to be natural. Then came the lights, green, unnatural, sweeping across the night sky. The aliens had returned. Not a single ship, not a random attack, but coordinated, focused, deliberate. Liora was at the front naturally. She moved among her troops with purpose, her eyes scanning the horizon for patterns, weaknesses, anything to exploit. Commander Voss trusted her judgment implicitly, and for good reason. Humans had evolved to survive, but Liora had been forged to lead them in ways no one else could. "They're targeting infrastructure first," Ellen reported, voice tight but steady. "Power grids, communication hubs. They want chaos before conquest." "Then we'll turn chaos into advantage," Liora replied. "Divide and isolate. Protect civilians. Hit their units before they regroup." The battle that followed was brutal. Alien forces descended like a storm of shadows, faster and more intelligent than ever. Yet humans adapted with the same speed, improvising maneuvers that no alien algorithm could predict. Liora darted through the chaos, guiding her teams, neutralizing threats and inspiring courage. But victory came with a cost. In the heat of the fight, Liora lost two of her closest squad members, soldiers she had trained personally, friends who had laughed and cried beside her. Their absence left a void that no tactical triumph could fill. She felt guilt, sorrow, and an unfamiliar rage simmering in her chest. "Why do we keep fighting?" one young soldier asked her mid-battle, voice shaking. Liora paused for a heartbeat, looking at the terrified yet determined faces around her. "We fight," she said, voice low but unwavering, "because we refuse to surrender. Because giving up would make all their sacrifices meaningless. Because humans don't just survive, we endure. And we rise stronger. Her words lit a fire in the hearts of those around her. Despite the fear, despite the losses, humans pressed forward. Every counterattack was precise, every maneuver calculated. The aliens could anticipate patterns, but humans thrived in unpredictability. As the battle raged, Liora noticed something chilling. The aliens had adapted. Their movements became erratic yet synchronized, their attacks targeted, almost surgical. They were learning from every mistake, evolving faster than humans could. The realization struck her like a thunderclap. This was no ordinary war. This was a test of human spirit against an intelligence that respected no weakness. Yet even in the face of overwhelming odds, Liora refused to falter. She orchestrated a daring plan, guiding her squad into a series of narrow passages where alien technology was less effective. Using a combination of explosives, terrain, and human ingenuity, they created traps the aliens could not predict. The enemy faltered. Chaos became a weapon. Humanity survived. After the battle, the city lay in ruins. Fires burned where buildings had stood. The screams of the wounded echoed in the wind. Liora walked among the survivors, her uniform scorched, her body bruised, but her spirit unbroken. Ellen approached her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You've carried us through again, but at what cost?" Leora's eyes softened, glistening with unspilled tears. "The cost is never measured in victories alone," she said. "It's measured in what we protect, in the lives we save, in the hope that humanity refuses to lose no matter the odds." In the quiet moments afterward, Liora allowed herself to grieve for those lost. She had been trained for war, shaped for combat, honed for victory, but she was still human. And humans mourned, humans remembered, humans carried their losses forward as a reminder of why they fought. Above, the stars shone with cold indifference. Somewhere in the vast darkness, the alien commanders recalculated. They had underestimated the human heart. They had forgotten that humans did not fight merely to survive. They fought for each other, for family, for home, and for something far greater than themselves. Liora stood on a hill overlooking the city, smoke curling into the night sky. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of responsibility and the fire of determination burning inside her. Humanity had survived this retaliation, but the war was far from over. The aliens would return, stronger and more cunning, and when they did, they would face Liora again. And she would be ready, not just with weapons, but with everything that made humans unstoppable: courage, ingenuity, and the indomitable will to endure. The night was quiet now, but Liora knew it was only the calm before the storm. Somewhere out there, enemies waited, but Earth had a champion. Humanity had a beacon, and in that certainty she found the strength to continue, because no matter the losses, no matter the pain, no matter the odds, humans would fight, and humans would prevail. Space was endless and silent, but the tension aboard the human fleet was deafening. Liora stood on the bridge of the flagship Aurora, eyes scanning the void. Every star was a potential threat, every shadow a possible ambush. The alien forces had learned from every encounter, adapting, evolving, striking faster than before. Yet Liora felt no fear, only the calm focus of a human mind sharpened by training, experience, and purpose. "We've located their central hub," reported Lieutenant Kieran, voice steady but edged with anxiety. "It's heavily fortified." "They're expecting resistance," Liora nodded. "Good, let them expect it. And then we'll show them what they don't understand. The unpredictability of the human spirit." Ellen Mira, standing beside her, frowned. "This is deeper than anything we've faced. Casualties will be high. Some may not return." "I know," Liora replied, her voice quiet but unwavering. "And that's why we fight. Every life we risk, every loss we endure, it strengthens the will of those who remain. Humans endure, Ellen. We survive because we refuse to surrender." The mission was simple in words but impossible in execution. Infiltrate the alien hub, disable their command network, and return. But Liora had a plan, and her plan relied on every strength humans possessed: intuition, adaptability, and the ability to turn fear into action. As the fleet approached the alien fortress, energy shields shimmered, illuminating the darkness. Alien ships patrolled relentlessly, scanning for intruders. Liora's strategy was elegant and audacious. They would split the fleet into decoys and strike teams, each move designed to confuse, distract, and trap the enemy. The moment the operation began, chaos erupted. Laser fire streaked through the void. Explosions illuminated the battlefield, and humans moved with coordinated precision that machines could not anticipate. Liora led the strike team personally, navigating through narrow corridors, dodging alien fire, and disabling security systems with speed and ingenuity. Then she faced her first true test, a squad of elite alien warriors, genetically enhanced and technologically superior. They moved like predators, calculating and efficient. Liora hesitated only for a heartbeat. Then instincts honed by years of relentless training took over. She fought not just with weapons, but with tactics, emotion, and sheer determination. Every move anticipated an enemy's calculation. Every strike exploited a weakness. She was faster, smarter, and more adaptable. And humans following her lead matched her courage with their own. But victory came with pain. In the heart of the hub, she encountered a device capable of obliterating entire cities. To disable it, she had to bypass alien systems that were almost sentient in their complexity. Every second brought more danger. Every misstep could cost millions of lives on Earth. As she worked, alarms blared. The aliens had discovered her presence. Reinforcements surged. Liora's heart pounded, her mind racing. But she did not panic. She had been trained for this. Humans had survived worse, adapted faster, and endured longer. She focused, channeling fear into precision, emotion into strategy. With a final calculated strike, the device powered down. The alien hub shuddered as critical systems failed. Liora and her team fought their way back to the extraction point, battered but victorious. Every life saved, every system disabled was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. As they returned to orbit, Liora allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Her hands were scraped, her uniform torn, her body exhausted, but her spirit was unbroken. She had faced an enemy far superior in technology and nearly unmatchable in strategy. Yet humanity had prevailed. Why? Because humans fought for something the aliens could never understand. Each other, home, and the unshakable will to endure. Ellen placed a hand on her shoulder, voice soft. You carried us through the crucible, Liora. Humanity owes you more than I can say. Liora shook her head, a small, tired smile forming. Not me alone. Every human aboard this fleet carried the same fire. Every life lost, every sacrifice made. It's all part of the same strength. We survive because we fight together, because we endure together. That is what makes us human. As Earth rose in the distance, glittering with life, Liora felt something swell within her, a profound certainty. The aliens had tested humanity, pushed them to the brink, and yet had failed to break them. Humans were adaptable, resilient, and courageous beyond measure. And in Liora they had found a champion who embodied every strength of their species. The war was not over. The universe was vast and threats would come again. But one truth remained immutable. Earth had awakened its defenders, and the aliens had discovered the hardest lesson of all. Humans never surrendered. Humans never yielded. And humans would never be defeated. The universe had grown silent in anticipation. Even the stars seemed to watch as Earth's forces prepared for the final confrontation. Liora stood on the deck of the Aurora, her eyes scanning the vast void before her. The alien armada approached like a black tide, countless ships shimmering with alien light. Every sensor blared warnings. Every human heartbeat pounded with tension, but Liora did not flinch. They're stronger than ever, said Commander Voss, his tone steady, though his eyes betrayed concern. They've learned from every battle. They won't make the same mistakes. Ellen Mira stepped forward. Neither have we. Humans adapt. Humans endure. And Liora? She looked at her comrade with admiration. You've taught us all what it means to fight with heart. Liora's gaze hardened. Then let's show them. Not with fear, not with brute force, but with the one thing they will never understand: human ingenuity and spirit. They can calculate tactics, they can build machines, but they cannot predict courage. The battle erupted like a storm. Alien ships swarmed in perfect formation, energy beams slicing through the darkness. Humans fought back with every weapon, every strategy honed over months of conflict. Yet Liora knew victory would not come from firepower alone. It would come from leadership, from unity, from the unyielding force of human will. She directed squads with calm precision, anticipating enemy maneuvers before they happened. Every ship, every soldier followed her lead. Her voice carried over comms like a beacon. Sector Gamma, flank left. Civilian zones clear. Focus fire on weak points, adapt, improvise, overcome. Amid the chaos, Liora noticed the alien flagship at the center, a towering fortress of metal and energy. It pulsed with power, commanding the armada with relentless efficiency. She knew what had to be done. Alone, she could not destroy it, but humans never fought alone. Coordinating with Voss, Ellen, and the strike teams, Liora devised a plan both daring and audacious. They would split the alien fleet, isolating the flagship and forcing it into a trap. It required perfect timing, absolute trust, and unshakable courage. The maneuver began. Human ships feigned retreat, drawing alien forces into a narrow corridor of space. The flagship followed, its systems anticipating nothing more than a straightforward attack. And then Liora struck. Energy beams from every angle, coordinated precisely, targeted the flagship's core systems. Explosions rippled across its hull. Alien forces faltered, disoriented by the unpredictability of human tactics. In the heart of the battle, Liora piloted a specialized strike craft herself, navigating through flares of energy and debris to deliver the final blow. The moment she fired, time seemed to stretch. The alien flagship convulsed, its systems failing in a cascade of sparks and fire. The armada, without its command, descended into disarray. Human forces pressed the advantage, sweeping through the remnants with precision and resolve. When the dust settled, silence returned to the stars. The alien fleet was shattered, retreating into the void from which it had come. Earth was safe for now, but more than that, humanity had proven itself. Not through overwhelming technology, not through cold calculation, but through heart, courage, and unity. Liora floated among the survivors, her uniform torn, her body weary, yet her spirit unbroken. She looked at the faces around her, soldiers, civilians, leaders, all of them marked by battle yet shining with triumph. She realized then what the war had truly tested. Not weapons, not tactics, but the human spirit itself. Ellen approached, tears glistening in her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." Liora shook her head, smiling faintly. "Not me, all of us. Every human who fought, every human who survived, every human who refused to surrender. This victory belongs to them." Commander Voss joined them, placing a hand on Leora's shoulder. They underestimated humanity, but they won't make that mistake again. Not ever. Liora gazed at the stars. Somewhere beyond the void, the aliens would recover, adapt, and return. But humanity had discovered something in this war that no alien could ever counter: courage, resilience, and the will to endure against impossible odds. She whispered into the vast silence, a vow that would echo through generations. "We are human. We endure, we survive, and we will never be defeated." Below Earth spun in tranquil beauty, its cities and forests glimmering under the sun. The planet had been scarred, yet it remained alive, a testament to its people's strength. And Liora, soldier, leader, champion, stood as proof that humanity, when united and unbroken, was unstoppable. The war had tested them. The universe had tried to intimidate them, and yet humans had triumphed. Because no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, humanity would always rise. And Liora knew in her heart that aliens, no matter how advanced, had never stood a chance.